So, what do you make of that? Well, if you're still undecided and are still thinking about the positions put forward, let's hear the perspective of a serving lawmaker on the same issue.
First reaction is to note that it's a judgment given in default because the House of Representatives didn't seem to pursue the matter, didn't defend it, neither did the second and the third defendants. That's the Inspector General of Police and the Director of State Security Services. None of them defended it, and therefore the judgment was given in default, and the judge quite clearly said that he wasn't going to spend his judicial time giving analysis or judicial considerations to the issues. So to that extent, whilst it's a ruling and a judgment that stands until it's appealed and upturned, but it must be treated with a great deal of caution.
Okay, now, but you've said it's a judgment, it stands.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, all judgments can be reviewed by appeal.
Yes.
Yes. But I'm interested in the implication of this judgment right now as it concerns the constitutional mandate of the National Assembly and the work the National Assembly does. Now, when in the first declaration here, it says that the National Assembly is not constitutionally or legally empowered to investigate criminal allegations and absolve or indict any individuals of those allegations. What's your take on that?
Again, if the judge had taken its time to subject it again to scrutiny, then that declaration would not have been upheld, would not have been allowed, to the extent that the House of Representatives is empowered by Section 88 of the Constitution to look into matters where the subject of that investigation is a person or body who's charged with administering laws made by us, or indeed charged with administering monies appropriated by us. So to that extent, we have the powers to conduct oversight, which is essentially an investigation into the operation of that body for the purpose of eradicating corruption or exposing corruption and inefficiency in the system.
But you were clear there. You said if it had to do with monies appropriated by the National Assembly and an organization that spends such money. So what does that do for someone that is a public, just from anybody from the public that is not covered by those? Can the National Assembly investigate?
Precisely. This is what I say. So leaving it as it was in that first declaration, its fault is ambivalent, to say the least. So the National Assembly can investigate if it's a body or a person who administers its laws or spends its monies. But the National Assembly doesn't have the power, and nobody's contested it, to simply hurl Mr. Larry Lassisi from the street and say, I'm going to investigate you. We're not a police agency, we're not a police law enforcement agency, and we don't have the powers to investigate crimes as such. But where our powers are limited to oversight, i.e. investigating those bodies that either spend monies operated by us or administer laws made by us.
If you look to the third declaration, it even goes further to say you can't even, the National Assembly does not have the powers to make recommendations or pass any resolution concerning the conduct of any person.
Again, that's again a conflation. See, the first declaration falls short. The third declaration goes too far, because there it's saying the National Assembly or the House of Representatives particularly doesn't have the powers to make recommendations or pass resolutions on a matter for which it has jurisdiction over. Again, that seems to me, on plain reading of it, faulty, because the House can make resolutions. Clearly that's what it's there for, as long as its jurisdiction is invoked under Section 88. And surely we can make recommendations in our report. Now, it's up to whoever we make the recommendations to, whether to take it or leave it. But I would say anyone who ignores the recommendations of the Parliament does so at his own peril. But so the first one stops short. The third declaration goes too far. So which is why it was important for Honorable Justice Kolawole to have, notwithstanding that the parties didn't appear to have actually indulged in the critical analysis of the reliefs being sought.
Okay, now going forward, because one of the things we always like to know is these judgments come out. They are almost like, you know, the whole democracy thing, the rules of the National Assembly, rules of the court. Now, with this judgment, does this in any way affect the way the National Assembly will be conducting its business going forward?
The first thing I would say is that the defendants in this case, the House of Representatives, should immediately appeal this judgment in default. Secondly, it doesn't really affect the way we operate, because the Constitution supersedes any other pronouncement or any other law. And the Constitution is quite clear that we have powers to oversight, i.e. investigate those bodies that I've mentioned earlier. So it wouldn't affect our work. We carry on doing our work for the good governance of this country and for the betterment of the people's welfare.